We've already done some graphing with setting up a table of values, and then we found out that there were two quick graph methods. The last couple of sessions we worked on graphing intercepts and then finding and graphing intercepts. And then in our very last session, we moved on to the other quick graph method, which was using the slope-intercept form of the line y is equal to mx plus b, where m represents our slope, our rise over run, and b represents that point that falls on the y-axis, called the y-intercept. So what I like to do is, when I'm going to use this quick graph method, excuse me, I'm going to first be sure that my equation is in the proper form with y isolated. Then I can easily identify those two very important pieces of information that will help us graph this line. So we'll start off by looking at this first line, and we'll see that y is equal to 2x minus 4, where our slope is 2, and our y-intercept, take that sign in front, is negative 4. Now, slope is rise over run, so if it's a whole number, I'm going to place it over 1. Why? Because when I go to graph it, this is telling me it's positive. It'll go up 2 and over 1. So how do I start graphing this? We always graph with the y-intercept first. I've just done a rough sketch here, as you can easily set up in your own notebook as well. I start with my y-intercept, so that's a point on the y-axis. So I'm going to find negative 4 and put my first point there. My slope is a positive 2, which tells me to go up 2, 1, 2, and over 1. I like to do more than one point, even though you only need 2 to graph a line. 1, 2, over 1. And then I connect those points. And I see I have this line, which has a positive slope. And as you noticed in the original equation, the slope m was also positive. Sometimes we have to rewrite the equation, but let's do another one where we don't. Here's my slope-intercept form of the line. I identify my slope and my y-intercept. This time my slope is 4, which is 4 over 1. It's positive, so it's going to go up 4 and over 1. But where do I start graphing? Hopefully you said the y-intercept. So I'm going to start with my first point at 0, 2. Since my slope is positive, it's going to go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 1. If I wanted to extend this line even down, I could count down 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 1, and I'd see I have these points, and I would be connecting them, and once again I have another positive slope. Remember when you're graphing to put arrows at both ends, because it's a line and not a line segment. So we saw in those first two examples that the equation was already in slope-intercept form, but problem number 3 is not. It's in standard form. So let's start by rewriting it first. I'll subtract the 5x on both sides, and then I'll divide by 2 on all terms to isolate my variable. And then I get y is equal to a negative 5 halves times x plus 4. My slope is a negative 5 over 2, and my y-intercept is a positive 4. This slope is telling me it's going to go down and to the left. It's a negative slope. So once again, I start at my y-intercept, counting up 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm now going to start at that point and count down 5 because that's the rise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 2. And again, I could do that a second time if I like, but knowing that I only need 2 points, I can stop right there. Remember that slope is constant, so that's why I can find additional points. Now there are two particularly unique types of lines. Those will all have positive and negative slopes, but we've already discussed when we graph a horizontal line. A horizontal line is going to be in the form of y is equal to 2, where y is a constant. No matter what value I have of x on this line in red, my y value will always be 2, and that forms the horizontal line. The graph where x is equal to a constant will be this vertical line as you see here. And this is something that we'll go over a good number of times. It is pretty important, so I'm just throwing it back in as a review. Again, What do I need to do when I'm looking to graph using quick graph method? I'm looking for an equation in slope-intercept form. That means it's in the y is equal to mx plus b form, that I can easily identify my slope, which is just a number, never the variable, and the y-intercept, the point on the y-axis. Always taking the sign in front of either number. But I get to this last problem, and once again I see it's not in slope-intercept form, but standard form. Let's go ahead and subtract 5x on both sides. That gives me 2y is equal to a negative 5x plus 6. And lastly, divide all terms by 2. Once again, I have an equation now in slope-intercept form, and I can easily identify both my slope and my y-intercept. This first one is telling me that my line is going to be positive going uphill. My second one has negative going downhill, and another negative going downhill. So once again, looking at the equation, I can tell you something about the graph right away. We'll be having a quiz on graphing using the quick graph methods this week. Let's just do 2 more, just so that we're feeling that we've really mastered this. We identify our slope, since it's in slope-intercept form, and our y-intercept. Go ahead and graph. Do the same for the second one, and we'll check these 2 in class. Now in our next section, we're going to be now writing the equations. We've already been given equations in standard form and in slope-intercept form. Now we're going to do the reverse. We're going to be given information, either a graph, or the slope and the y-intercept, or 2 points on the line, and we're going to have to write the equation. So we're going to go through this whole list here, and actually I think I've only put 3 on the list, but we're going to start, of course, as always, with the easiest. We're going to ask you to write this equation in slope-intercept form when you're given the slope and the y-intercept, and can't get much easier than that. If I give you this, I'm replacing the m and the b. So I get something like y is equal to negative 2x plus 7. My second one, my m is 3/4, so 3/4 x minus 1. Next one, my slope is 1. Well, 1 times x is just x. That's x plus 4. We move on to the next one. Now my y-intercept is 0. I don't have to write that 0 in. I'll just have a negative 5/4 times x. And the last one in this slide says that slope is equal to 0. Well, if I take y is equal to mx plus b, and I replace the given values in, and I have y is equal to 0 times x plus 2, well, that center term, their term cancels. I'm left with y is equal to 2, which is a constant. And when y is equal to 2, you know that you have that horizontal line. So again, our next goal is to delve deeper into writing equations when given information. And we started off today with the easiest of them, given the slope and the y-intercept. Next class, you'll be given the slope and a point. After that, 2 points. And then we'll talk about a third type of line, the point slope line. So until class, have a good day.